Story 1. My wife and I are opera singers. This year was our big breakout year. We had a good number of contracts with very reputable opera houses that would take us to the next level. We were going to buy a house. All of our contracts for the next 18 months were canceled, and we won't be singing anytime soon since most companies have closed. We've shifted careers at this point, or at least are trying to. Story 2. I was scheduled to start my 6-week residential post-traumatic stress disorder program in May. It is now closed indefinitely. Lost my father in late April. I imagine I'd still be able to speak with him now if there were no virus. Story 3. About the same thing, except I would have had my mom to joke around with. Now, I joke to myself while her urn sits on a shelf in the living room corner. I would have gone through my senior year of high school with her by my side in a literal sense. I have no money at all, but no amount of money Social Security can give me will ever be worth losing my mom at 17. I feel awful for those who are younger than me going through the same situation. Story 4. I beat cancer last year. This was supposed to be my cancer survival travel year before going back to work. In April, I was taking my dad to Iceland with me for a nerd convention. After that, I was going to take our 4-wheel drive truck and spend 3 months or more on the road, visiting national parks, museums, sightseeing, and camping. I traveled the West Coast from February to mid-March. I stayed home since mid-March. Edit. Thank you for the Silver Award. I appreciate your kindness. Edit 2. I just woke up to a gold award from a kind stranger. Thank you so much for your generosity. Story 5. I would have hopefully passed my driving test. I failed it in March, and weeks later, COVID-19 hit the United Kingdom. I haven't driven since. I'm not even sure I remember how to drive. Story 6. Quite honestly, nothing. I'd still be working and saving all the money I can. I guess if there was one thing that would have changed, it is that my small business wouldn't have been forced to shut down. But come Monday, I'm back open. Story 7. The only difference is that we played Dungeons and Dragons over Roll20 and Discord instead of in person. Edit. A lot of people are asking how to find a group, and the answers from other users keep getting buried. So here you go. Roll20 apparently has a group finding function, and a lot of people suggest Reddit looking for group. Hope this helps. Story 8. I would have had to work only 40 hours a week instead of the 70 that I have. The stupid clients assume that since people are at home and under the fear of losing their jobs, we can overwork them to insanity. Story 9. I was supposed to go to Paris and Amsterdam in mid-March, but that got canceled. I took Sketch 101 and 201 at the University of California, Berkeley in the fall and winter. I probably would have signed up for 301. A few of my friends' birthdays have passed. We probably would have done day trips or gone away for the weekend for those. Oh, and I would have been working this whole time instead of collecting unemployment. Story 10. I would have some of the vision that I lost because I spent months trying to find a neuro-ophthalmologist who would see me after I started going blind. That would be cool, but now I get to learn some interesting new skills like finding a new career that can be done when legally blind and not walking into things that you can't see. It's an adventure. Edit. Thanks everyone for all of the replies and internet points. It's been the highlight of my weekend being able to share and get such positive feedback. I needed that pick-me-up. Story 11. I would have gotten a full-time job at my internship after graduating, but they lost too much money during COVID-19 to justify hiring me. Edit. Wow, this comment did well. Thanks to everyone for sharing your stories. I got a job after graduating, but not everyone is as lucky. Story 12. I moved to New York City in February, a few weeks before the lockdown started. I had a whole binder of things I wanted to see and do and a job I was excited about. But I got laid off as soon as things got started and everything I wanted to do became impossible, and some of it is probably never coming back. I would have been taking the train to every station, catching impromptu shows, hunting down the best open mics, trying to pin down the best pizza and burger, putting together a Dungeons and Dragons group, and traveling to other parts of the northeastern United States that I've always wanted to see. I had big plans for this year, and I'm so heartbroken that all I've experienced is an endless chorus of sirens. Story 13. Before COVID-19 hit, I accepted a job across the country as a rock climbing instructor for a Boy Scout camp. I submitted my notice and moved in with my boyfriend's family for the few weeks leading up to moving to the camp. Everything fell through. I lost the old job and the new one never started. I moved out of the house I was renting and drained my savings in the move and the subsequent months. Now I've started information technology courses online, realized I love technology and fixing technology, lost 20 pounds, and my boyfriend and I are planning to start living on the road full-time, embracing RV life. Life has never gone the way I planned. Not once, but I'm kind of happy with what I'm aiming for now. Story 14. I had a big old lump of cash put aside for a cross-country trip via Fiji. I was planning on visiting my family in the United Kingdom before heading back to Australia when I was done too. This is totally off now, but on the plus side, that chunk of money is also why I am able to get through all this mayhem. It's particularly fortuitous as my industry, kitchen work, is taking quite the hammering at the moment. Story 15. Would have kept my job, gotten a raise, a sizable bonus, moved out of my parents' house, and ultimately taken my plunge into independence. Edit. To whichever kind soul gave me platinum, thank you. It's my first ever award. Now how can I spend this on weed? Story 16. I would have continued working more than 60 hours a week at a job I hate, getting paid a pittance instead of focusing on what makes me happy. I've taken that time to write my first novel. I'm a month away from completing my first draft. Story 17. I would be working a part-time job in a failing weed shop that probably would have been shut down by now. Instead, I am now the manager, have fixed nearly 100 issues I inherited from the previous manager, store sales have improved greatly, and I suddenly have a career. All thanks to the global pandemic. Holy hell, this escalated quickly. I will do my best to answer these questions during my downtime between customers. Location: Canada. How I became manager. COVID-19 hits, and I am the first of the 4 workers to be laid off during the morning of what I then expected to be my last shift. 1 week later, the original manager, who has children, was laid off by the owner when everything was shut down. This allowed her to apply for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, take care of her kids, and lose very little income. The assistant manager, set to take over the store after cannabis was deemed essential, did not know or did not care about CERB, made a fuss about the original manager being laid off, and had not taken his training seriously. I received a call from the owner asking if I would be willing to come back to work, as he no longer trusts the assistant manager to not do anything stupid. The next morning, I am informed that the assistant manager has been laid off, and going forward, I will be the acting manager. Issues include but are not limited to products being improperly labeled, categorized, and priced. She was pricing a handful of items at a 300% plus markup, mistakenly I hope. She also made over 70 inventory errors, making it look like either we had 2 to 3 times the amount of individual products or the opposite side, where it looked like we had only half of the product in our inventory. This amounted to the appearance of nearly $100,000 in missing product, which is frowned upon by the governing body, and led an inspector to be on my case for nearly 8 weeks while I had to find explanations for the discrepancies. After roughly 3 months as acting manager and running the store alone, I was made the permanent manager, and the other bud tender was brought back. So a few days a week, I can focus on paperwork and not need to do everything by myself, which has really helped lower my stress level. Story 18. I would not be alive. I was planning to commit suicide. I would have been dead before the lockdown, but when everything shut down I met someone, and I immediately felt comfortable around them. I was able to vent and release years of bottled up emotions, and she helped me work through things one at a time, which started giving me hope that maybe I'm worth something. Wow, I did not know replies can get this overwhelming. There are so many. Thank you all for the kind words. I don't have many positives, so this helps. Story 19. Take my Vietnamese girlfriend to Vietnam for 2 weeks. She hasn't been there since she was 5 years old, and proposed to her. Thanks to COVID-19. P.S. I proposed here in the States anyway. She said yes. Story 20. Trips to California, Bali, and Spain. I would have woken up on my birthday in Yosemite National Park and gone to sleep in Napa Valley. I really hate COVID. I thought the 12 months previous to March were terrible. Story 21. Saved up some money and planned on taking the first vacation with our son. Had the summer planned for activities before he went into kindergarten. Update: we found him a used bike for his birthday, and he is really proud of it. The summer still has another month, making the most of what is left of it. Story 22. I would have planned prom, helped with graduation, had lots of game nights with friends, and I would be planning lots of activities for senior year since I am the senior class president. I would have already taken the SAT and I don't know what else, but I would have been so much happier. Story 23. I was in the process of switching schools, so I had to miss the end of my last year there, and I'm missing the beginning of my year at the new school. If I had gotten those last months, I would have been able to say goodbye to all of my friends and have time to make new friends before I graduate this year. Story 24. Would not have had to leave my university. Would have gotten to spend 3 months with a guy that makes me really happy. Probably would have been my boyfriend at this point without COVID-19. Story 25. Defended my Doctor of Philosophy in person, walked at my graduation, had my family at said graduation, played softball weekly, seen friends, gone camping and hiking with friends, gotten my car fixed, probably would have a different job. Also, traveled to visit my dad and my boyfriend's family. Probably wouldn't have lost as much weight though. Story 26. Go to the San Diego County Fair 2 times. Go to San Diego Comic-Con all 4 days. See some movies in theaters. Have more in-person doctor appointments instead of phone appointments. Story 27. This was supposed to be the year of big positive life changes for me. I graduated with my Master of Fine Arts in Theater, which would have happened in person, and I would have gotten to see my family and celebrate with my cohort in person. I would have been a bridesmaid in one of my best friend's weddings. I also haven't seen her in person since 2018, so it would have been nice to see her. The first full production of one of my plays would have gone up in New York City. I would have had my own wedding. We got legally married last year, but still haven't had our wedding. Now we won't until probably 2022, at which point it's more like a vow renewal. My husband and I would have moved out of the studio to a place with a bigger kitchen and more space for our kitty to run around. But now we're stuck here for another year. I probably would have been able to get a job as a theater administrator or teacher and wouldn't feel like a useless couch lump. So yeah, this year can go to hell. I'm ready for 2021, and it better be better than this. The bar isn't that high. Story 28. I most likely would have continued to stay overweight, as I had much easier access to eating out and would use school as an excuse to not work out. With the COVID quarantine, the boredom actually led me to work out a lot more, which also led me to eat better, and I am happy to say I have lost 14 pounds from when I first started this 3 months ago. Story 29. Probably wouldn't have lost my best friend. It's like I barely know them anymore, and it makes me wonder if we were really best friends in person. I think yes, but I never get reached out to, nor do they reciprocate anything when I try to text them or show that I really care for them. So confusing. They leave for college tomorrow anyways. I have to wait another month. So in my head, I guess we're not really anything anymore. I'm tired of reaching out first all the time like I'm playing Minesweeper, and with them meeting new people, I highly doubt they'll reach out. In the end, it was nice when I felt like I finally found someone who gets me and everything and vice versa. But then 2 months into the pandemic and boom, it's like a whole other person. And to think at one point we were planning on going to Spain for a senior trip together. Story 30. I would have spent about 90 hours and about 3,000 miles pointlessly commuting to be in a dumb office building face to face with idiots that exhaust me. Since then, our jobs have been 100% productive, working remotely from home. I understand the real issues this has caused for the vast majority of people, but for me personally, I am glad this has massively accelerated the world of telework and saved me so much time and heartache. I've seen my family more than ever before and been happier than ever not wasting my life at an office when it's unnecessary for the type of work. Story 31. I had plans for 7 festivals this year. It was going to take me all over the United States, seeing national parks, meeting amazing people, and experiencing live music. I only got to go to 1 festival before everything shut down completely. However, I did end up quitting my job and traveling across the country to national parks to just get away from people. I haven't presented any symptoms, avoided large groups of people, and had a blast. On a side note, A lot of the states I went through turned south as soon as I left them. Story 32. Taken my daughter to the zoo much more. We had the pass but only got to go before she was even crawling. Now she's walking and waddling around and we can't. Play dates. New York City, San Francisco, Las Vegas. Story 33. My husband would have been able to see our son be born. He has a cough caused by a stent in his throat that was put in for radiation treatments. He was supposed to get it removed, but all non-emergency procedures stopped for a while. He had the same cough my entire pregnancy, and no one noticed it until COVID-19 started getting bad. Occasionally, he is coughing fits, which make the people around him uncomfortable, and any cough now makes nurses raise an eyebrow. He didn't want to have a coughing fit at the hospital with me in delivery, and the nurses might put him out of the room, and I would deliver by myself. He sent my mom with me instead.